guys, welcome to another interesting segment on Home Truth Nigeria. Today I want to talk on a topic called types of Nigerian men you should run from. We have talked about Nigerian men you should basically avoid online, and I got a lot of questions from that topic. And a lot of people called, wrote me, to thank me because I have one way or the other pointed them towards certain things they couldn't see before. So today I want to talk about some Nigerian men you should run from. Because if you don't heed to this advice, I would be telling you, then at the end of the day, you may have yourself to blame. So, what are these kind of Nigerian men you should run from? Let us go there. The first one are the guys we call testers. Now, some of you may be wondering, what do I mean by testers? Let me explain. Now, these are Nigerian men who will tell you that they love you and wish to marry you. Some will go a little step further to introduce you to their family, to make you feel that you are in a very serious relationship. By doing so, they break your guards, they break your defense, they dispel every trust issues you have. And then when they see that everything is done, they go ahead to test your limit. They do this by asking you money. The testing is by asking money. Now, there are two ways to which they test your limit. One is they would look if they could take little sum of amount. You could be talking to the guy, and the next thing the guy will tell you, "Can you please help me with $25, £25, €25?" Now, you may look at it like, okay, it's not a huge amount. It's something I can do. One thing you don't do is that these guys, they come in different ways to ask you for different kind of amounts that you will consider minute. By the time you calculate the amount you've given this individual for like 5 months, you discover that you've given him a lot of money. The other guys would come straight to you and ask you huge amounts of money. They would test to see if you would fall to it. If they may come to say, "Can you give me a? Can you loan me?" They always will use loan. "Can you loan me around 1,000 to 3,000 dollar or pounds or euro, and I will pay you back. I promise you." So the thing is, you are left between and betwixt 1,000 and 3,000 dollar or euro pounds. So you may decide to like, okay, I can't give you 3,000, but I will give you 2,000. Or I'll give you 1,500. If you're talking to a guy and within few weeks or months he's asking you for money, you should run because that guy is not the right person for you. He is testing your limits, and the moment you fall for it, you would see what he would do. So these guys, they are basically called testers. So be wary and careful of these guys. The second guys you should be very careful about is the ones who come with the "I need a wife." Now, when you hear a Nigerian man, tell you this so quickly while you getting to know him, just know that he's not looking to have a real companion, or he's not looking for companionship in a partner. Rather, he's looking for what we call a glorified maid or house help. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of men who are very, very direct and intentional. When they meet a woman, after some time, they'll tell you, "I want to marry you." Now, there's a difference with "I want to marry you" and "I need a wife." These are two different sentences or phrases, and they mean two different things. The person who tells you, "I want to marry you," thinks or feels like, okay, both of you could do something as partners. But this one who needs a wife, sometimes he is looking for someone who will spoon feed him. He's looking for a mommy in his wife. Basically, he is looking for a woman who would help him cook, clean, and take care of him. And I'm not saying there are women who wouldn't want to do this. There are women who trade off having a reasonable home, a companionship, and partner for a guy who's rich. They don't mind being the housewife, clean, cook, provide for him when he comes back. They take him to bed and all of these things. There are women who don't have a problem doing that. But if you are a lady, who you basically you are looking for a man who would share the house chores and other things with you, because it's not, if you think it's not your sole responsibility 100% to do all of this, I would have advised you to avoid this kind of guys. Now, one thing you guys need to understand is that in Nigeria, believe me, when you go to a young Nigerian man's home, a bachelor, and you see that his house is unkept, dishes are not done, his clothes are flying everywhere on the floor, and things are not organized, the next thing people will tell him is, "You need a wife." your life is so disorganized, you need a wife. Now, in reality, women play a huge role when they come into the life of any man. Most women straighten up the life of a lot of men. They put their feet on the right track and all of this. But if some of this context of you need a wife is that it is only when a woman comes, your dishes will be clean. It's only when a woman comes, your house will be organized. It's only when a woman comes, your clothes will be washed. Without a woman, you can't clean your dishes, you can't wash your clothes, and all of this. So there are a lot of men who believe that the reason their apartment is disorganized, dirty, and not clean is because they don't have a wife. So for this reason, they need to go get a wife so that this apartment can be fixed or clean. Another point is my parents are forcing me uh, to get married. My parents are forcing me to get married. Now, if you are serious with a Nigerian guy who is always telling you his parents are in his neck, to get married, or for whatever reason, you meet a Nigerian guy who, after talking, he tells you he needs a wife because I mean, you when he tells you this, the next thing you ask him, why do you need a wife? And then he tells you, well, I really need a wife because, I just want a wife. And also my parents are forcing me or they are pressuring me, to get married. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to make you guys to understand that this is very common in Africa as a whole. There's an age you get to, in Africa and Nigeria, people expect you to get married. Even the president of your country is expecting you to be married. So at that period, you get lots of pressure, pressure on your neck to get married. Now, the question you need to ask yourself or ask this individual is, does this guy really want to get married, or is he coerced, you know, into getting married? Or is it kind of like doing this under duress? Then if he's doing this under duress, then you may have a problem because this individual may not see the need of getting married. And the truth is that back home in Nigeria and Africa, a lot of men who feel they have been pressured to get married and have kids, a lot of men, sometimes you have some men who are low-key gay men. These men have no attraction for women whatsoever. But because they want to take away that pressure from their parents, they want to take away that pressure from society, so that society does not suspect that that is what they are, they would go get a woman and, get married to her and also start having kids with this woman. Why they still live they live a double identity just to get their family and society off their back. And this is no case. One of my best friends, she was married. She's a subscriber to this channel. Would be listening to this video. She was married to a man. After 3 kids, turned out this man she married to was gay. And the thing was that the family, they were aware that this man is gay. So they told him, okay, listen, if you want to go ahead with this, at least give us a child. So what they did was that they pretended like he was a straight male, and then they made him to go get married to a lady who didn't know his sexual orientation. And it was in the marriage she started discovering things, finding things out until the guy came out clean and the marriage dissolved. This is not just one case, there are a lot of cases. So it is very, very important to trade carefully, most especially when the guy comes to tell you that he is being forced or pressured into getting married. The most important thing would be, what do you want as an individual? Do you think ordinarily you don't want to get married? If your parents were to be taken out of the equation, would you think like, you don't need to get married? If Have a serious discussion with him and see if he would prefer not getting married. Then if that's the case, run, because the moment he keeps emphasizing on the push and the pressure and the coercion from his family, you need to trade very carefully on that. If possible, run. The next point is, I need a child. If you if a Nigerian man is coming to you for a serious relationship and all his emphasis is always on wanting a child or kids, my dear sister, trade carefully. Now, nobody can predict or make exact date when they would conceive. If you're with a man whose sole aim of getting married is to start having kids immediately, and after 1 or 2 years you're yet to conceive, you could have problem. Your marriage could be threatened. This individual could go out, to look for a partner when you don't conceive. Now, one thing that annoys me sometimes is that some of these men who are always coming, looking for a woman to help them have children, most of them don't understand that they could be the problem why their wife hasn't conceived. There are a lot of men who believe that they don't have the biological problem of inability to conceive is coming from them. There are some of them who are so ignorant to believe. They believe the moment there is a problem with conception, 100% it's coming from the woman, not them. So if you meet one of these guys who is always like, I want a child, I want to start having my kids, you need to be very, very careful, because if there is a little delay, it will look like you're walking on eggshells. Additionally, yeah, there are Nigerian men who use this same medium, to get in between your legs. Most especially the gullible women. These men would refuse using protection, when they take you to bed, especially when you lay down all the consequences that could happen if you guys, get to bed without protection. For instance, there could be unwanted pregnancy, or other 1 million kinds of diseases that could be gotten through there. If you ever notice that you tell the guy, but I could get pregnant, and he tells you, oh, don't worry, if you get pregnant, don't worry, I will take you to my family and get married to you. Just know that it is not always the case. Be very careful, because most of the wrong decisions are made in happiest moment of a man. A man is more weak in his happiest moment. So if a man is making any promises or telling you certain things he will do at the moment of excitement, don't put your heart on it, because he's only speaking from a different part of his brain without reasoning. And the problem is, a lot of these women, they get married, they get pregnant for this guy, hoping that he would come and get married to them. And I've always said it, you cannot use pregnancy to trap a Nigerian man. The last thing you will use to trap a Nigerian man is pregnancy. It will never work, especially if this man hasn't introduced you to his family as somebody he wants to get married to. You could get pregnant for a Nigerian man, and along the line, he could have a change of mind on being with you, especially if the family, they don't like your profile. And he would not get married to you, no matter what you do, no matter how you threaten him. He would just tell you, I will support the upkeep of the baby. And there you go, being a single mom, which definitely is not bad. But I'm just trying to make you understand is, don't fall uh to this trick of, oh, when you get pregnant, I will take you to my family. And no, it doesn't work all the time. There are a lot of ladies who have made these mistakes, and they are left to raise their child themselves. So never think you would use pregnancy to trap him. And don't go unsafe without protection if you don't know what this individual wants from you. Basically, I don't advise it. Another kind of Nigerian man you should avoid is the Nigerian men we call the mama's boys. If you're dating a mama's boy and you guys are planning to settle down, please start praying. Now, here are signs to know that this person you're with is a mama's boy. If it tells you everything that happens, if it tells his mama everything that happens in your relationship, and as soon as it does that, you're getting calls or messages from the mom, or the mom starts you start noticing some kind of behavior, because the mom must have coached him what to do, then know that you are with a mama's boy. Another way you're with a mama's boy is that he makes certain statements like, well, I spoke to my mom about it, and she doesn't think it's okay, or my mom said this, or my mom said that. Especially when you notice that this individual cannot say something without referring to himself making that decision. Rather, he's like saying, oh, I spoke to my mom. My mom doesn't think it's right. Or I spoke to my big sister. I doesn't think it's right. If you end up with such kind of guy, you're not married to him. You're married to the mom. The mom would run and control how that relationship works. The mom would tell him when to take you to bed, when to give you money, and how to treat you. And that there are a lot of women who have, totally complained about this kind of marriage, and it's frustrating to them. So if you notice you're with a mama boy, start praying, start praying. Or better still, find your way. Another one is the stingy or tight fisted Nigerian man. If you're dating a Nigerian man and you notice he's stingy or tight fisted, basically, he doesn't like to spend. He doesn't release his money, nothing, anything about finance. He's not interested. I'm talking about a guy whose hands is literally clenched, like he's ready to throw a jab. He's tight fisted. Nothing falls from his hand. Nothing can open his hand. His hands are sealed like adhesive glue were rubbed around his thumbs and fingers. My dear sister, if you are dating a Nigerian man who is stingy, I would ask you to think twice before you go any further. Now, you may be pondering, what are the signs of a stingy man? If you notice, he never buys you anything. If you notice, when you come to visit him, he doesn't pay your fare or even contribute to the fare. You come from your place and you go back, he doesn't even contribute to the fare. If you notice, he's always giving excuses of not buying you gifts for your birthday, Christmas, Valentine, and other things. If you notice, he's always basically complaining of money, complaining of being broke. Yet he works. He has a job. That dude is a stingy guy. And a stingy guy would not and never assist you financially. If you're with a stingy guy, you're basically on your own. And sometimes, some of you Western ladies, you contribute to it. Some of you think that, okay, because he is in Africa, and then you like, okay, things are hard, you send him money to run one or two things. And you don't understand how generous this individual is, no matter how small it is. You don't allow him to prove his generosity towards you because you use the excuse that, okay, he's poor, from Africa. You tend to forget that this dude was surviving before you met him. When he eventually comes into your country, he would feel he doesn't owe any obligation to you whatsoever to support you financially because you work and he works. So he could do, maybe contribute to the household bills, but you would discover that certain things that most Nigerian men, do to their spouses, you don't get it. So you need to be very, very careful when you're dating a stingy guy. In Nigeria, women run from stingy men. They run from stingy men because a stingy man, can watch you, like lose your life because he doesn't want to pay a certain amount of bill in the hospital. And that is the truth. Now, last but not least, is if you're dating a Nigerian guy who makes too much promises, be careful of Nigerian men who make too much promises. There, ladies, if you're dating a Nigerian man who is making too much promises, you have to be very careful. Now, it's okay to make some promises or make a promise. You know, that's okay. But if you're dating a man who's always making too much promises, just know that he would not keep 90% of these promises he's been making. Now, how do I know? The truth is simple. If you are talking with a Nigerian man and every time you end, oh, I promise, I promise I'll do this. You are used to hearing, I promise I will do this. Oh, I promise you this. I promise you that. I promise you this. And then you are always coming to remind him of some of the things he has promised. He makes promises he doesn't remember. And then you always of the habit of reminding him these promises he's making. You're like, oh, but you promised you were going to do this. Oh, did I promise you that? Say, yes, you did. But you said you were going to. Did I say so? Oh, yes, you did. If you are of the habit of always, 90% of the time, reminding him things he has promised and he hasn't kept them, first thing is know that you're not a priority to this guy's life. Secondly, know that he would not keep whatever promises he's made. This may even extend to promises of being with you. That's the truth. Because if you can't keep certain promises, just know that you're not a priority. And if you're not a priority, whatever promises is made of being with you, just start looking for a way out. That is the truth, and there are a lot of ladies who always come to say, "Oh, but you promised you were going to do this 5 years ago I was getting to know you." And the guy was like, I didn't say I didn't say so. In fact, the story, a lady came all the way from Australia. She foot the whole wedding bill, everything, and got married to a Nigerian. While she was paying the whole bill, she was like, "Okay, what are you going to contribute to this?" The guy said, "Oh, I don't have money now, but I promise when I get to Australia, I will reimburse you. I'll give you back 70% of what you spent." And the lady said, "Okay." So, Westerners, you guys you believe in promises. In Nigeria, when somebody promises you, "I'll be with you by 9 in the morning," if somebody promises me in Nigeria that is coming to me by 9 in the morning, 9 o'clock, I that is promised, I will not be there. I will come around 11 because I know this guy. The chances of him coming there by 9 is not there. So we don't take, there are certain things that we don't take too serious, like promise. Don't believe these two words. I promise you. So don't take it to heart. I promise you, or dear, or my dear. Don't take it to heart because it is something we're very used to. See, your enemy in Nigeria could be quarreling with you. Tell me, you will hear statement like, "My dear, you can't do anything. My dear, I'm going to destroy you." It doesn't mean anything to us. When you are, "Hey, dear," it doesn't mean anything to us. Promises there. And sometimes the use of the word "I love you," it doesn't mean so much to us. We express love, we don't say love. So we're not like it is in the Western world. So, guys, I will continue again the part 2 soon. I want to run also a series on the kinds of women Nigerian men would run for. Uh, Hopefully by next week. Please, from everything I've said, I would advise you, to listen to them carefully. Believe me, whatever I tell you, they are 100% correct because I know what I'm saying. So, guys, without further much ado, I would like to say if you want to reach out to me, always contact me on hometrue36@gmail.com. And, guys, thank you. Thank you for watching and listening to this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have to comment, please comment respectfully. Home Truth Nigeria, a lovely weekend.